Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joy, and yeah. So the tea is life update. I have been in a place where I have been leaning more on Jesus Christ. Okay, quick question, and I really hope this isn't blasphemy because I got so many sins under my belt that I really don't need another one. Why is it Jesus H Christ? Does the H stand for Jesus? Anyways, yeah, I found Jesus. Jesus, holy Christ. I found him. I've been looking. I'm gonna be honest. It's been a new development in my life, and I'm so blessed to say that it's even something that I found the time in my life to be exposed to. So I've had experiences in church in my lifetime, right? There's that. However, when you come to God and you say, you know what, Jesus, I want to know you personally as a full grown adult. When you do that, it's just totally different. Like, there's innocence in knowing Jesus as a child, but to choose Christ as an adult, when you see the ways of the world, you see how, like, you can really be lost in sin. You see how difficult it is to turn away from sin, and how hard it is to be righteous and humble and loving in Christ, and how easy it is to just be wicked, be foul, be hateful, be full of all of the 10 commandments, to just go against them, and how hard it is to basically abide by them. It has been a long road. I'm probably going to tell the story one day, but today is not the day. I'm still healing, child. All you need to know is I'm doing a little better, and I am totally spending time with Christ. I'm totally begging God to heal me. Like, I be begging, please fix me. Please. Fix it. Today. Fix it, Jesus. Fix it, Jesus. Fix it. So a family member actually asked me, what brought you back to Christ? What was it? When did you have this realization, and why? I'll be honest. What brought me back to Christ was his presence always being there. So I know I'm saying I'm back to Christ, or I'm discovering Christ again. Realistically, even if you choose the world over God, he's always going to be there. He's omnipotent. It just gives that. So he's always going to be there, even if you choose the world. And I was actually falling into a cycle of very intense things. Depression. Very intense depression. And in that cycle, I just forgot what hope felt like. Because when you're super low, right, and you go through feeling low for a very long time, there is going to be a point where there is no hope. And hope is just a distant memory. And if you stay in that cycle long enough, you just completely forget what hope feels like. It's almost like something that's never existed. Sounds like a myth more so, something like a myth, or something that was accessible but no longer, kind of like a fossil, maybe like a dinosaur. So it's like it became something in my mind that was, once present in my life, but it was so long ago, it's history. That's where I felt about hope, and I got to that point where my rock bottom had a rock bottom, and that one had a rock bottom, and then that one had one that was lower than hell. So it got pretty bad for me. Really did. And what really did it for me, as far as opening up to Christ, the possibility of Jesus Christ, was simply telling him how freaking angry I was with him. Saying everything I felt about him to him. That's what it took for me. And I'm going to go into detail at another time. I don't feel like going into detail. I'm not really there yet. But it really took for me to say to Christ, this is how I feel. And I'm pissed off. I'm very upset with you. And here's why. And it took for me to vent to God about God. Because even when I wasn't really fully connected to God, how I am now, or even how I strive to be, I still felt his presence. I never felt the void of God. I've always felt Christ's presence. I've been in a place where it was just a tiny, tiny bit, but he was always there. And I'm living flesh of that being a fact, not a belief, because if it was not for Jesus Christ, I'm telling you, this video would not be happening. And that's a fact. So, I'm blessed to say that I was able to really develop a belief and love for Jesus Christ. And that happened because I was really able to release the frustration, the resentment, the disappointments, the pain, the hurt, the anguish that I had for Christ. Have you ever heard people say, well, if Jesus was real, then this wouldn't happen, there wouldn't be wars, babies wouldn't die, if Jesus was real, then blah, blah, blah. Then, I didn't really necessarily feel like that. I always felt like we all come to this planet and we all experience trials and tribulations. And yes, while God does have the ability to just stop everything, that would be stupid. I'm sorry, not stupid. That would kind of like undermine the way that he created us. So he created humans. We're the only creation that has free will. We're the only creation that has free will. So when God created human beings, he gave us free will. So if God was to go ahead and just stop every single thing that's bad from happening, like, that would be him taking away the greatest gift he gave us, which was free will. And so it doesn't necessarily make sense for him to do that. And I always kind of knew that, probably subconsciously more than consciously though. But I always kind of felt like, God's real. It's just that he don't like me. I've always felt like God's real. It's just that he don't really vibe with me like that. I felt like that in the past. Now I know better, And so with that being said, I just felt like with all these things in my life that are happening, God, I know that you're allowing them to happen because that is how you work. But I also know that I have free will. But I'm angry with you, God, because I want to hear your voice tell me, Joy, no, don't go that way. Go this way. Don't do this. Do this. I want you to make it easy for me. I want my life path to be easy. I want to feel bliss, joy, love, happiness, light, delight, whatever. I want to feel those things. But I feel like I was in a place where I was really sunken down in my depression, sunken down in the bad stuff that's happened to me, really stuck in that place of trauma where I couldn't process anything, where nothing really felt real. And I just couldn't really get out of that until I said to God, I'm angry with you. I'm angry with you because I know you're real. I know you're everywhere all the time. I know you hear my prayers. I know you see me. I know you know what's going to happen next. I know all of that is true. But what I don't know or necessarily understand is, why aren't you talking to me? Why am I not experiencing you? Why didn't you guide me out of this? Why does it feel like you led me to this? And I was very, very angry and had a lot of resentment. And you know what I did? I let it all out to Jesus Christ. I did. And you know what? Afterwards, I felt stupid. I felt guilty. I felt shame. I felt like, oh my God, how dare I? I felt like, what was I even thinking? I just felt completely stupid. Because God has so much that He is doing all day, every day, and I am here cursing the sky. I felt stupid afterwards, and I felt misunderstood, even by God. And I now know that that was the enemy. Because there's something in the Bible called lamenting. Lamenting is when you go to God and you say things like, I can't handle this. This is too much for me. So an example of lamenting is when Jesus lamented to God. He says, Father, why have you forsaken me? In that moment, Jesus is asking, why did you leave me? This burden is heavy for me to bear. Why did you leave? And so that's what I did, basically. I lamented. Now, I wasn't as elegant as Jesus, and I wish I would have been, but I wasn't. I'm just being honest. I had a lot of, anger in me. So, so it wasn't as elegant as Jesus. Absolutely. But that's just one of many examples of people in the Bible lamenting to God and saying, Ultimate Creator, I am missing the mark. And I feel that I'm deeply trying. And honestly, when you do lament, once I did it, it's a very humbling experience. Because God is God, I am not. So once I said what I said and got off my chest what I felt like I needed to get off, had my little hissy fit, I felt completely humbled by the presence of the Lord. For one, He ain't strike me down. I'm still breathing. Story to come. He didn't strike me down. I'm still breathing. For two, He's the creator of the universe and anything that ever existed. And what was I thinking? You know? What was I thinking? Clutching my pearls. Literally, quite literally, what was I thinking? And so that's part of the reason why it's so humbling, why it was such a humbling experience for me, is because I immediately felt remorseful. I immediately repented and asked for God to forgive me. I immediately, not me about to cry, child. I'm going to even go as far as saying I immediately felt God's heartbreak. Not disappointment. I'm going to stand 10 toes and say heartbreak. He was heartbroken that I didn't trust Him. He was heartbroken that I didn't see the plan. He was heartbroken that I could have those feelings harbored in me. But I also felt God's grace in saying, I'm glad you relieved that. I'm glad you left that out. I needed you to say that. And you have a long way to go. But that was a good start. I needed this. I needed that from you. I hear you. That's normal. Little on me, normal? Jesus think that? Oh, child. That's what brought me back to Christ, was the way God cared for me. And that time where I did that, I think that God strategically placed a particular person in my life to really speak to me, who was, I can 1,000,000,000% say, who was a true believer, who really believes in Jesus Christ, who really believes and, any and all things Christian, who really truly believes and who was just a great person, you know? So sorry, it's just a little, the rest of the story is just really sad, but I'm just grateful for even access to that because I was going through a lot, child. But yeah, I'll probably tell the full story one day. Maybe, maybe not. But that is how I found Christ again. And I just want to say, like, if you're out there and you were previously someone who was familiar with Christ in your life, and you've kind of fell into the ways of the world, maybe the new age, maybe just all these things about science and all this stuff that's coming out made you believe, as I did, that Jesus is real, but I think this other stuff is real too. I'm here to tell you, bet on God. Bet on Jesus Christ. It's the winning team. I'm here to tell you to open your heart. Keep your heart open to Jesus Christ. Regardless of what you go through in life, regardless the things you do, the things you say, the places you go, regardless, always keep your heart open to Jesus Christ. Because all he needs to do is step in. He needs you to leave room for him. That's it. That's literally it. And everything else he'll get in order for you afterwards. He only wants you to leave room. Leave room for him. Okay, well, I feel like I've said enough. That's basically how I found Christ again at my big age of 26. So thank you for coming to this channel. I've been through a lot. I've had a lot of struggles in life. My biggest takeaway from this video is that through it all, through everything that I've experienced, I've never felt better than to have Jesus Christ, you know? There's never been a place in my life where I felt more. The depression and all that mental stuff is still there. My mental health stuff is still there. You know, the problems that I deal with in the world is still there. And all that stuff is still there. But with Christ as the center, it literally doesn't move me. I felt like a freaking leaf in the wind just aimlessly blowing. Had no direction, no rhyme, no reason. And I needed to be grounded. Not anchored down, but grounded. And finding Christ is the most grounding thing there is. And so having love in my heart for Christ and really having dedication for Christ and really having appreciation for Christ has really changed my perspective on life. It makes me want to help other people. It makes me want to spread the word of Christ. It makes me want to live life to the fullest, to explore, to see God's world, to see what he created for us here on this planet. It makes me want to interact, do charity service, community service, do charity work. God does that for me. It makes me want to do those things. That's what God does for me. And I'm someone who struggles so much that having a desire to do any of that stuff didn't exist before Jesus Christ. For me in my life, it simply did not. I'm telling you it didn't. This is what it was for me. This is what saved my life, and I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful. And I just hope that this video, if you see this video and you're like, okay, sis, you seen one of my videos in the past? I took a lot of them down because I was like, no. I was like, let me take this mess down. But if you saw me or you know me in real life, or even if you never heard of me, never heard a video by me before, which is probably the case, and you find that you're in a space where you're super, super duper confused. That was one thing I was dealing with on a daily basis, was the pure confusion. Being so confused. That's something I dealt with without Christ. Now it's like, I still get confused about a lot of things, but there's discernment through Christ, and I just pray that God strengthen my discernment, and I don't make any big decisions without him. It's the best friend, the best parent, the best companion you'll ever have, ever. And so Well, thank you again for coming back to my channel. I hope that you like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with somebody if it helped. And thank you.